lovely people. Thank you for joining me on Table Talk once again on Sunday, taking the time out and sparing that little half an hour to listen to the conversations that I try and bring for you today. At a time when conversations have shrunk, at a time when spaces have shrunk for women, we're looking at women in politics and the challenges for them. Joining me today will be Dr. Shama Mohamed. She is the national spokesperson of the Congress Party, and hopefully in the future there will be leaders, women from across the political divide giving me their opinion. So stay with me as I wait for Shama to join and hope to take this conversation forward. But in the meantime, please don't forget that all the episodes of Table Talk are available on YouTube. You can just subscribe to Jyotsna Mohan and listen to a lot of the old episodes if you've missed any of those. There's some wonderful conversations on that, and I can see my guest. So stay with me, guys, and let's get this going. Hi, Shama.
Hi.
Hi, I can see you. It's
It's a little hazy. Yeah, let me just 1 second. Just give me a second. Let me just.
Sure.
I don't know why it's a bit hazy, but I tried my best. I don't know if it's on my. I've never done a year live, so I normally go on. I think that's better.
No, it's camera. Fine.
Okay.
I think I've got a lot of people to do this for the first time, so I'm quite used to explaining it and eventually when you get to it, it's actually quite easy. It's not that tough. But Shama, thank you so much for joining me on a
Most
Sunday
welcome,
evening.
Jyotsna.
Taking time out from your family, I know. So I'm going to keep this very quick half an hour conversation. As I was telling the viewers before, it's an attempt to also branch out. Table Talk looks at a lot of conversations around women. And one of these, at a time when spaces have shrunk for women, conversations have shrunk at a time when COVID has done this to a lot of us. I think it's time to also relook at how it's been for the women in politics and the kind of challenges that they face, and the kind of participation that is still required. So I'm heading in straight into this conversation, Shama, by asking you that how has your experience been of other women around you during COVID?
You mean my experience or the women around me?
Your experience of the women around you. What has your sense been of women around you?
So generally I travel, during COVID, definitely I was at home, but when it got down a bit, I went to Kerala and I did go to Delhi. But in Kerala is where I get an insight on what's happening and what are the issues. So a lot of people had issues with, a lot of husbands lost jobs. Right. So the burden was on the wife much more because the rations, the food, the children, everything has to be taken care, the medical care, all those things were there, So it all at the end falls on the woman's head because you need to put food on the table, so it was a tough time for women. And I have a trust, a Zoya Charitable Trust, back in my hometown, Kannur. And we tried to help as much as possible through this trust, where we gave a lot of medicines, whoever wanted, rations. And a lot of people did not even want others to know they were getting it, because some of them came from middle-class families. And suddenly the husband has lost the job in the Gulf. And as you know, most Keralites live there. And we had to give, we needed to provide them, but we said we'll do it silently. We'll come and drop it at your house. So I felt food was one of the issues at that point of time during the COVID. And a lot of women who go to work couldn't go to work, like house helps. They couldn't work. So I had provided some of them with sewing machines, not me, I'm sorry. Of course, I'm the chairperson of the trust, but Zoya Charitable Trust provided, sewing machines. So one lady came up to me and said, thank you so much. I think not one, 4 or 5 of them came up to me and said, thanks, because we could make mouth masks with that. So they were selling mouth masks at that point of time. So that was one thing which I noticed, that it has been very tough on women. Also, let's understand, women had their space during a normal time. The husband goes out to work, the kids go out to work, she rests a bit at that point of time. I'm talking about the normal women, what happened to them. And that's when she has her time and all. But now she's overburdened at that point of time. There's the breakfast, the kids are at home, the husband's at home, everybody. And let's understand, everybody doesn't have a big house. A lot of people in Bombay now live in very small little apartments. So everyone's at home, then the next lunch, then again some snack, then, you know, and she had to be there. She never got space for herself. And I heard a lot of women were into depression and various other things. There were a lot of issues because of this. See, everything changed. And at the end, I feel, Jyotsna, the burden is always on the woman, which, whether you're in politics, you're a doctor, you're a corporate lady, or anything, you're a journalist, a man can just, in politics, a man can just walk out and say, you know what, I have work, I have to travel, all that. So the woman takes care of the kids, their homeworks, they have extra classes, there's a cook, you know, the house also one has to look. And I have a good husband that way, he takes good care of the kids, but still there are many things which is on me. And for a woman to, sorry about that.
No worries.
Sorry, because this is Arvind Kejriwal's Delhi where power goes and the generator gets on. So the Wi-Fi goes off and that's what happened, you know. This is where you get a lot of power, I'm told.
No,
I'm sorry about that.
You don't want to compete with Uttar Pradesh.
So what I was telling, I want to continue with that is what happens is, I do have a husband who is quite helpful and everything, but at the end, it is on the woman, because when a woman travels, you know, there's always, where are you? I mean, you know, why you get late, you travel, we have to travel a lot, you know, that's very important. And the other thing is when, I do feel when people are coming, I mean, I admire people who come up from down there, you know, who are from poor families and who come up, you know, I really admire them. But having said that, those like us who have an option to leave everything and get into politics also is not easy, you know, never one is appreciated for this. They say, oh, they are, you know, you leave your profession like dentistry, a lucrative job, you work pro bono 6 years, you start off when your children are, the first one was, my older one was 7, the younger one was 5 years old. You live in a place where there was no TV. I used to do debates in Pune, so I used to be almost around 2 weeks in Delhi and sometimes in Bombay in a month, away from the kids. So I think all those people also should be appreciated by all media people too, because whenever they do any sort of conclaves or whatever, I always see that they you know, they invite, I mean, I don't have a father or mother in politics too. So it's a struggle. In all ways, it's a struggle, I'm telling you. It's not easy. People think, you know, it's an easy thing who watch you and they watch you on TV. It's a huge struggle, let me tell you that.
And when you're talking about, you know, watching on TV and the media aspect of it, you know, there's a lot of weightage that is given to appearances still, isn't it?
Well, I don't know, because there are a lot of people who go on television from my own party. It's not that everybody has good appearance, but I think when you look, I think in politics, it's not great to look nice, is what I would like to say. I think it's, you know, it's not easy when you look a bit okay. It's, you know, you're taken like somebody not serious or something, you know, and the ones, but that's see, my thing is, if you're able to do that, and I do it for myself, not anybody else. I've always done it, and I'm not going to change whether I'm in politics or I'm elsewhere. I'm a very strong-minded person that way. So I do it for myself, but they should take people seriously, because you have to understand that we are also educated. We are only in this, especially me, I'm only in this to bring about a change in my country in terms of education, healthcare, population control, infrastructure, you know, administrative reforms we require. These are important to me. I come from a state where there is 96% literacy, and look at the rest of India. I mean, not all, but without any pun intended, but we do need everywhere that, especially in certain northern states. And also healthcare. When I hear how children die in UP having diarrhea sometimes, that's because the primary healthcare centers are shut. You see, when a child has diarrhea, basically what they need is IV fluid. But when the mother takes the child to the primary healthcare center, it's locked up. So how do you get the IV fluid? Those are the issues. We have tertiary healthcare centers, all right? But more than that, we need to have primary healthcare centers. And it is not anything against anybody else in India. It's about every Indian is part of each other. It's not that I'm from South, you're from North, this one's from East. We are all Indians. So at the end, the Indians have to, you know, work together to bring about that change. Otherwise, we can't bring about the change, isn't it? So that's the reason I got. And also people like us, I do feel we complain a lot. Oh, this is not working. That's not done. If you want to complain, you know, you better get into the system. If you get into the system, that's when you can bring up change. You can't keep complaining and bring about a change, isn't it?
No, absolutely. Absolutely. But you know what, and you did mention that, you come from Kerala and the 96% literacy, but the last elections, and I was looking at some of the figures, uh, uh, given that a majority of at least half of the voters are women, what came out was do I still have
Sorry.
you? Yes, I
Yeah,
have you.
I can hear
No,
you. I can hear you. Yeah.
I'll repeat. So,
Yeah.
given that half of the voters are women, Kerala elections only 7 or 9% after not elections, the participation of women has only been 7 or 9%, 7 to 8% in Assam, 11% in Tamil Nadu. It's that barrier, the big barrier, the patriarchal, the gender barrier that women come across. I think sometimes, isn't it the biggest stumbling block?
Oh, I agree with you. Now, I'm going to say about Kerala. Kerala is again a state with, I said, 96% literacy. Not only that, a state with more women to men in terms of
Yes,
ratio of the women to
ratio.
men. Also, Northern Kerala has the matriarchal system where when you divide the property, it is your daughter's daughter, and not the son. So we have the matriarchal system, but still one of the most patriarchal state in terms of politics. We have never had any big leaders, women leaders, no women CMs. There are a few from the CPM who have become, but from my party, no. So yes, I'm fighting that every day in and day out. It is very patriarchal in Kerala, and I will admit it. I'm not going to say, oh no, it's not. It is. And I have said this also on television. I have said it to my bosses about that there has to be a change in Kerala. Otherwise, see, before the women, you could get their votes. Now the women in Kerala also are very independent. They're assertive, and you better give them representation. Unless and until you give them representation, they are not going to vote for you. Why should they? They need representation of women in a state where there are more women to men, isn't it? It's with their votes. I always say that if these women don't come out to vote, no man can win in Kerala. So it is important that we have to break. And for that, I think you need to be very strong. There should be three things which I believe: perseverance, persistence, and hard work. You need to, and patience also along with it. So if you got these right, then it is difficult. There will be a lot of, you will go through a lot. You need to have a very thick skin, and you should be very self-confident that I can do it. I will do it, and I will see to it that there is a change, that there is more representation of women in Kerala. So I do try my best, and but in such a way that we don't want to overpower men. I don't personally. I think let the men have their place, but you can't have, like you said, 7%, 6%, or 5%. That doesn't work. It should be at least like what we are asking for, 33%. Our party has been asking for a very long time. We passed the bill in the Rajya Sabha in 2010, but it didn't go through the Lok Sabha because we did not have a majority. I'm sure now it should be passed because the present dispensation, the Bharatiya Janata Party, the NDA, has both the Lok Sabha, they have a majority, and the Rajya Sabha with their alliance partners, they can easily pass the bill. And the question today is, why is it not being done? That is the question we need to ask. We need to get this done because see how much we fight. There are not everybody who's a strong person. You have to understand that, Jyotsna. Everyone's not made the same way. People are made differently. Every woman's made differently. So for that, we do need this thing to be passed because otherwise we are not getting representation out there.
Yeah, totally. So in that sense, are women politicians across parties connected?
I think so. A lot of women across party lines, when I speak to, they all want this. Even in my home state, I have many from the LDF or the CPIM who are very supportive of the other women who are out there and who can do things. So women across party lines are supportive of this, that I'm sure of, because I've spoken to many of them. And I think we do need, as a woman, don't you think we need more representation? See, one thing about women, since we multitask, all right, now for me, if I'm in a meeting, once I remember, I had my driver calling me up. Ma'am, do your Adam, my older son, does he have tennis class? Because I reached there and I don't see the coach there. I'm like, please.
Yeah,
And
it has to be done.
the number. So I had to call the coach immediately, and I finally said, I'm on the way. So yes, we multitask, and we have, sometimes the cook might call me up. So we do multitask. The kids, when I'm at home, Mama, get me my shorts. I can't find in the cupboard. But they don't say Dad, no. So, so I have to do that, So yes, so we multitask, and I think women are much more transparent. That's the other important thing. We need transparency in politics now. We need to know that, certain things can be done. We all need to have that thing about country first. How do we get this country moving? There are so many people out there, the poor, the women. I always wonder, we have everything, but those who are at the below poverty level living, we women have so many issues as a woman. We have the menstrual cycle, hygiene at that point of time, getting sanitary napkins. Can they afford it? That's the other question. Then it's not easy when you think about yourself. We all take care of ourselves. How can they take care of themselves, the woman? Their health. They always think about the children first. And I wonder what they eat. So their health and also their mind. Everybody thinks, mind is not important. Mind is very important. So that they learn a trade, they learn some sort of suppose somebody comes from there's a girl in a woman, in fact, having 3 children, and a lot of them have husbands who walk away from marriages. They're drunkards. That's something which I see in Kerala a lot. So we help support women in their endeavor to bring about get them a job or teach them something, a profession, like something like sewing or one of those things. We try and help them with those things. That's what we try. Or whatever. Suppose someone likes cooking, then we get 4 or 5 women together and said, start something which you can do as home delivery.
Yeah.
So teaching a skill, basically, that's what we try and do as much as possible.
So, you mentioned personal hygiene, and that's so very critical. Where in that, whole balancing scheme does that lie with the, the politicians, the representatives of, of an area, whether it's a legislator or a parliamentarian?
These are important matters to take up. See, they look like small matters, but there has to be, I do feel there should be sanitary napkin machines in schools, very important. And that's important. Also in villages, they should be in the healthcare center. If you have a primary healthcare center, I would love to see primary healthcare centers where it functions well. They have a machine for that. They have various things, the IV machine, they have everything. A child could be saved at this point of time, or the mother. Sometimes you have pregnant, when there are women who are pregnant, they also need a lot of things, folic acid, many other things, during their pregnancy. So support system and complications can arise. So definitely this is very important. Hygiene is a very important thing for women and for anybody else. And when you try to, like if you go to my state, anybody's house, if you go into, one thing I've noticed, the toilets are very clean. Anywhere in Kerala, if I even go to my house help's house, I can go to a toilet because it's very clean. And I think that is something very important. We don't have pan being spat all over or anything because that culture is not there. So I think people have to be taught, one, in school. You see, school, I always feel hygiene, putting things in a dustbin. What happens is when you teach a child can go back to his dad, and he's spitting the pie. He says, Papa, don't do it. What you're doing is wrong. When a child tells you, the parent has that thing to listen. Not when I or you tell them. They say, "Kaun hai ye bolne ke liye? Chup ho jaiye aap. Ye meri marzi hai." That's the attitude.
Absolutely.
But when the child is taught these, that's what I want the school atmosphere to change, where it's a place where the child is happy. You study, but also there are games to play. We can also start football in school because we only focus on cricket. So that's something which I'm a sports person. The other part of me is a sportswoman.
Me too.
Okay, so I love sport, and football I'm passionate about football. So my thing is, why not start football grounds in school where girls and boys can play? It's good for your mind, and then you study. So we should understand that sort of, ours is about ratto learning, which we really need to stop. We all have done so many exams, so many tests. I don't know how much you remember, and I remember what we did in school. And then we ratto. We don't see that thing, but we keep imagining it in our head. So I think that has to stop, and you should give this wholesome sort of teaching where they play and they understand and they show them, they exhibit. Suppose if it is, you want to show the intestine or the stomach or all those things, esophagus, you show them, on a model and say, this is how the food goes in. It goes into the esophagus, then the stomach, then it goes into the small intestine, large intestine. You show it to them that the kids can understand that. That's very important, the digestive system, and you put it across. So that's very important, that you have not just pictures, but you have models, and you can take a syringe, put some water in through the oral cavity, and with color, and
Yes.
show how it happens. So that's never going to get out of your mind.
Absolutely. I
And
now I
and
know who, yeah. Now I know who to call when I'm doing sessions on education. I do a lot of them.
yeah,
Maybe as
no,
a
and also
mother.
no, no, and also hygiene. So, like I said, dustbins in schools, and many schools don't have good toilets. See, girls, they need toilets even during their menstrual cycle. They need to change their pads. So, you need clean toilets. So, that's very important. So, where do you start from? I believe it should start in schools. The discipline starts in school. We are all. I'm disciplined because I went to a CBSE Indian school, even though it was abroad. We had to wear black polished shoes, white socks, gray skirt, maroon tie. I still remember
Oh
white
my God.
shirt. Very strict in our uniform and everything. So that's discipline, isn't it? Whenever we had to talk to a teacher, we needed to stand up. We couldn't just sit and say, I want to ask you a question. That was not allowed. I think that's all certain respect you give to your teacher. There was discipline, but at the same time, not very strict.
Yes. I'm with you
I think we need to
100% on this.
separate discipline and strictness. There are two
Yeah.
different things. That's what
And
we
and
need to understand.
yes, and we are forever taking the strict route. For everything, we're either taking the strict route or we're taking the very convenient route of
Yeah.
denial.
So that's again in politics, pabandi, ban everything, ban. In our country, we ban, we don't
We ban.
regulate.
We
That
don't
is
regulate.
something which I am totally against, whether it's a book, whether anything in this country, it has to be regulated. Like for example, in Bihar, they have banned alcohol, but there are many more alcoholics right now because they are taking spurious liquor. You have to understand that. So why don't you regulate in the senses in residential areas, there will be no shops. You regulate and see to it that, there is a kind of ID card or something which you have to pay for, maybe to get it 20,000 rupees. And then only those people who have that. Yeah. So regulate it, it'll be much better than complete ban because alcoholism is a disease. It has to be treated. People don't understand that. You need treatment centers to treat them. As a doctor, I can say that they need treatment. So I believe everything, when it comes to anything in this country, the first thing I hear is ban, which I'm totally against. And I believe in regulation, which happens in most European countries, even in a country like UAE, where you get alcohol, it's regulated. It's a Muslim country, but it's
I'm there right now, so yes.
Yeah. Oh, you're there. Yeah. So I lived 8 years of my life there.
I read
so it's
in
regulated.
Kuwait. Yeah.
No, Kuwait, I was brought up. That's 15 years of my life. And 8 years is where I lived in Dubai just before coming to India.
Oh, really?
I had my kids were born there in Dubai.
Oh, in Dubai. I'm in Abu Dhabi, so I'm in the suburb, as they say.
Yeah, so I lived in Dubai. That's the capital. No. Abu Dhabi is the capital.
Yeah, it is. So, but yeah, I agree with you. I think, the porn ban, I mean, it's so farcical. We banned all of 800 sites or something, and it tripled because everybody downloaded VPN. There's always a way around it. The Jugaad system of India is flourishing and roaring.
No, right? When you ban something, the book sells more, everything sells more because everybody's curious. What's in it? I want to read it. So it's a wrong thing to do. Anything, there has to be freedom. The more you segregate people, the more you segregate the male. Why do I look at a male as another female? For me, is because I've when you go to medical school, you are with men or your the male people, and you interact with them just like if I'm interacting with a Jyotsna, I interact with the other person. I don't have any sort of other way of thinking. But when you start segregating and say you can't, then you say, oh God, what is the thing when you meet? Yes. That's the excitement happens and whatever. So I think everybody should, everything in schools, colleges, everything, one has to regulate things. And what do we have in UP? What is it? What is Jihad. The other one? No, Romeo Squad, anti-Romeo Squad.
Oh yeah, there's a Romeo Squad as well.
I find it all very hilarious. Anti-Romeo Squad.
It is Romeo Squad.
How can you stop an 18-year-old if they want to meet somebody? You can't say that you can't do it or not. So everything, I believe, should be regulated.
Which brings me to the topic, and I know I have to round this up very fast, but social media. And I'm not talking about regulations, but I'm talking about the freedom of social media to target women, the sexism that comes out of, things like Twitter. I mean, we saw a lot of that against Mamta during elections, or a lot of politicians. How do you handle that kind of trolling?
What I do is I never respond to trolls. That's what I do. I just ignore them. When even politically, if I say something, which is not wrong. But the Bharatiya Janata Party, when I go to my Malayalam debates and I say something, they come after me. I'm quiet for 2 to 3 days. Then they know that I've ignored them. Then they just go away. So the more you interact with these trolls, unless they are really important ones, suppose if there's a journalist who attacks me, or for that matter, a senior leader from any, then I do reply in a very nice manner to put them in their place. That's about it. To assert myself that this is what it is. And it'll be a one-liner. And after that, I'm just quiet. I don't engage with trolls because I feel you give them power.
But that sexism, that offline and now combined with online sexism, does it deter women from becoming a public face, a public figure?
The thing with me, Jyotsna, is I got a little bit of self-confidence. So it doesn't bother me with all these things, because that's not what I am. So the more they do this sort of thing, I am not a feminist one, but I'm a strong woman in the sense is that I feel if there is, like I said, if there is a strong attack on me, I do reply and put them in their place saying that, what, we are your equals. A man and a woman's relationship is symbiotic. I believe that, because even if you look a gay couple or for that matter, a lesbian couple, there is always a female and a male component to it. Let's understand that, whether anything. So it's a symbiotic relationship. And women have to reply back when they are put down. I agree to you on that. If unnecessarily, unwantedly, like I've been always called a Pakistani jihadi and all sorts of names and, all those things, those I don't respond. But if there is something really bad on Twitter and they call me, which I cannot say it on some expletives, which I can't say it online, I tag Twitter along with it. I say, this is what has been said to me. Please take immediate action. This is what I do. But, we have to fight it because it is there. And that's why. So how do we fight it? Not just by talking to this troll, getting the representation. That's when we can have the strength, not by engaging with these people. We need to get more and more representation in India. More and more members of parliaments should be there. And that's why I got into it. I feel let others also seeing me. I'm from a family not in politics. I've been dissuaded by my parents, my husband, my whole family. They told me when I joined in 2015, you're wasting your time because they said you have a lucrative profession, your husband's doing well, you have a good life. Are you mad? So, Jyotsna, I've reached a stage where it is not right that I don't even want to go on a holiday, but I want to be in India and serve my people. I go to my hometown, which is the place which I look into more, or do work with the ICC in Delhi. And because I love what I do, and it's not good. I should go on holidays, but I just don't feel like anymore. And I love doing. So I think the other thing is you should love what you do. That's very important. I tell people is that I am a dentist, yes, but I believe I love politics much more than I love dentistry. And hence it gives me happiness. And that's what I told my mom, that this gives me happiness and my husband. And I have in a span of 6 years, I can say not done badly, but I need to do, I think always the ascent should be slow and not fast. I'm not sprinting, even though I used to sprint. I used to be a short distance runner, 100 and 200 meters. But I think in this, a marathon is better than a sprint in politics because you go up, you also need to get the trust of the people. You need to get the trust of the karyakartas in your party, the cadres. They need to know. They shouldn't think that somebody just came in and got whatever they want. And I don't believe in that. So I think it should be that bonding and the trust. And then, of course, do for the people as much as you can. That's why I started the trust, where we are now converting a government school, a part of it, into a smart school also there. So I'm very excited about that, which the work is happening side by side. And I can talk to you for an hour, but this is how I can go on. So it's so nice to have a conversation like this, Jyotsna.
I'm so glad you say that because, Shama, this is what a lot of the guests say, when we have these conversations, that we haven't had a sane conversation where nobody's interrupted us, where we've been able to say what we want to. And I keep saying, that's the point of having a conversation. I mean, get people out to say.
No, the thing is always we have a topic. Whenever I go for any of the conversations, there's a topic, isn't it? So I'm well versed in that topic. I read and go inside out, whether it's China or anything. But when it's about yourself, it's much more interesting because always, this is what I feel people, even when you see, they have to appreciate those people also who leave their professions, who have the money, because they should understand we're not getting in this for the money. That's the most important thing. We're not getting into politics to earn.
Yeah.
We're getting it just for the love of our country and our people, because India has to change. It cannot be like this, you know. It has to also, the red tapeism. You're in Abu Dhabi. How easy it is to start a business in Dubai. Very easy. You can just do it online. You know, you can't do that even now. I have people complaining about, why can't we? Look at our infrastructure. We need to get that done. And we need population control, you know, by incentivizing, not by putting a gun on their head. By incentivizing, we can definitely do population control, you know, by saying, you know what, if you have one child, we get you a house, we'll give you free gas. You know, those are the way. The minute the second child comes, remove all those incentives. So I do believe we should go into the one or two child policy, because the population also weighs us down a lot, I believe, you know. And we have to be open about it. Yes, there are a lot of vote bank politics, but we really need to be honest about it. And we have to think about not now. We need to think 10 years ahead. How do we reach where for these children, for our people? Employment, jobs. We need to have jobs more. We need to, you know, give a lot of jobs to people, and we need small scale. See, we never look at our talent and our skills. Look at our country. Which other country in the world has such skilled people? We have so much of handmade stuff all over our country, from saris, hand weavers, Zardosi work, you know, a lot of, in Kerala, the choir work, everywhere. We never use that. Every other country in the world would be charging a bomb for these things, you know. So we need to do what Japan did. They included their handmade stuff into cars. They used to have certain part of the car, you know, the car industry used to, auto industry used to ask them to do it. So we should do something like that. And for that, we need to have people who have a vision and a mind to be there. Not somebody gets a ministry or something just because somebody wants to allot it to him, you know, what's happening right now. It has to be the right person at the right place. That's also important, you know, so that there is a passion. Now, I am somebody who loves sports, and I want to see India in the Olympics much more. And like, there was an article, I think, by Sunil Alag, which I liked, is that we only aim for the silver and bronze and we're happy. I don't agree on that at all. It has to be the gold.
I agree.
And what is the silver and bronze? And then, you know what we do? We hype them a lot. We give them everything. So by the next Olympics, they are like, you know, I don't care. I've got everything on. Why should I even care? You know, you don't give them too much. If it's a silver or bronze, okay, good. You got it. Now I need the gold, and the one who gets the gold will get it. The Chopra person, fantastic.
Yeah, but you know, today I was like, oh my God, the boy thing, when is he allowed to train anymore? We've forgotten that he's an athlete. He's just going from one ceremony to another still, because it's such a novelty for our country.
I know. And also what he said, this is not it. I still want to do more. And that's what I liked about his attitude, is that this is not it. I want to do. That's the attitude we need to instill in our people, that, you know, getting a bronze or a silver, good. You know, it's not that you competed and everything is fine, but go for the gold. That's when we become competitive and we win. When it comes to football also, we have never qualified in Asian, never in the World Cups. So we need to do that. Sorry, I can go into a tangent.
So from education, I will also get you for sports.
and of course, politics, women's.
And of course, politics will continue.
Is my passion, which I think, see, when you have an all-round approach to things, you can always, you know, you think about the country and how, and also the girl child. We should remember to protect the girl child. That's something very important to me, because a lot of places, what happens is, शादी के बाद हमारी property नहीं है. That is a wrong attitude. Where I come from, the girl after the marriage also can be with her parents. We don't have bidai where I come from, you know. So this thing about your child is finished, it's over, my responsibility, that is very wrong. And we must allow her to be educated. That is something we go to villages and instill, that the girl has to be educated. She will not only financially help you, but also will take care of you when you're sick.
Of course, but
which
you know,
the guys don't do.
No, they don't. No, they don't. I'm a bit worried though. You know, after COVID, it's going to be there is you know, a lot of these girls now who are orphaned, or who have a mother who you know, doesn't have a father who's alive anymore. The mother's helpless, so they're all looking to get them married or just getting them off their family
know.
easily. It's a tough one, and I think it's a sector and it's a section of population that really drastically needs a relook. Starting now. I mean, why wait
But
for the
that's
pandemic to be over?
But Jyotsna, that's because our government has not given much to them. What is our COVID package? 1.1, 1.4% of our GDP. Many other countries it's 10%, 15%. What have we done for these people? That's the question you need to ask. We need to help them out if they are out of jobs. The restaurant, a lot of people, waiters and all come from villages. What have we given our hospitality sector as such? Nothing. I know people who have set up restaurants, closed down, and when they open, they try to get a loan. It's very difficult. It's not what they say. So it is what you need to do. The government should have paid them a package, like, restaurants and all. This is the amount so that they can pay their people for around 6 to 7 months. So they have some income coming in. You understand? The government of the day has not thought about all those things. They said we are giving loans, but that loan is very tough to get. So that's the thing. If you help out, we've been asking for direct transfer of money also, the Congress party, which has not been done. You have to give them money. See, how does an economy go up? Also, it's when there is demand. How can demand be there when people don't have money? You can keep the malls open. There might be some festival this time. I heard even during Diwali, there was not much say people have no money in their hand. No? So what the government has to do, seriously think about how to help people in various sectors, and construction is one of the most important thing where the government has to put in, the government construction and also private investments. But private investments are leaving our country because of so many issues. Private investors are going out of this country. Why are we not holding them here? That's what we need. More private investments, more companies open, more jobs to be given. Our employment is in a very bad shape. Yeah. So the government did not give a great package. That is the problem. And they can't say they don't have money. We all know they've collected more than 20 lakh crores through the taxation of petrol and diesel, So they just cannot say that there's no money in their kitty. They have money, but we don't know where it's going. And every time our party asks them for the white paper, where is this money? Oh, yeah, infrastructure, construction, this. But the white paper is never given, So I believe a government should definitely, through certain welfare schemes, take care of the poor. And I think poor also don't want so much of freebies. They want self-respect at the end of the day. If you look at that, if you go to the poor, give them something, I know they give me 10 things back in terms of food or something. They try to help, I know a child's, we are educating. So we do higher education, Zoya as a charitable trust, because the lower education, that schoolings are easy to pay, but the higher, when they get through, they need 1.5 lakhs per year. And that's a lot of money. So there's a farmer's daughter we are educating in nursing. And the man, and anytime he comes home, he'll get all his produce and come and give it to me. I said, I'm not taking it without paying you because you're already in that shape. And then you come and give it to me, everything. So they're very nice people. It's self-respect. And I believe self-respect is not by freebies. It's by giving employment and subsidizing things. That's what we need to do.
Some miles to go before you sleep, Shama. And I have just realized that my daughter must have been waiting outside the badminton court for the last 10 minutes.
Oh, God, thank you so much. You must run.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, okay. She's used to it. But yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We could have carried on, but
next time. There's always a next time.
There are many other times. Yes, I think we would do something with sports together. It'd be lovely. One of my passions as well.
Even mine too. Thank you so much, Jyotsna.
Thanks, Shama. See you.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.
And thank you everyone for joining in on Table Talk. We'll be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow we're looking at the cost of school closures in the capital and what it is doing to our children. To spread the word around, if you think there are any parents who would be interested in joining us, and more stuff coming up later in the week. Thank you everyone, and a quick reminder to subscribe to Jyotsna Mohan on YouTube, watch all the episodes, and feel free to give me all your feedback. My DMs are usually open. Goodbye and stay safe.